Hi, everybody. My name is Cindy Frank, and welcome to Healing Through Color by Julian. We're going to be talking today about the basics, about getting yourself comfortable with color and with thinking about that as a healing alternative. So first of all, we want to understand that color has an identity. It's the same identity that you have in its vibration. Everything is identified by vibration. The rate you vibrate at is your identification. The rate a color vibrates at is its identification. You can alter the power and energy of a color by altering and changing your own vibration. In other words, you take the color into your mind and self, and then you elevate it to escalate the vibration or lower it to quiet the vibration. Realize that color can work with us through its identity. Its identity of vibration can merge with our identity of vibration as a person and grow and become a useful tool. So what we're doing is we're incorporating our energy and vibration into the energy and vibration of color. The second thing to remember is that everybody has a color that they relate to or vibrate to more succinctly than others. If I were to say to you, what's your favorite color? What would you say? Some people might be blue, others purple, green, red. All the differences because everyone's vibration has a special attunement to some particular color. If you were working with healing, you'd choose a color to work with to diagnose because you would be able to understand what happened with that color more fully. So if you're going to choose a color to diagnose, what color would that be? Your favorite color, the color that you respond to and you vibrate to. Color has its ability to interact because of vibration. And every vibration of a human in nature has a single color that they interact with very readily. If you all think for a second about your favorite color, you begin to realize that there are times when that color makes you feel a certain way. You might walk into a room that's of one color and it doesn't bother you. Maybe you don't even notice it. Or you might walk into a room and instantly feel uncomfortable. So color can change the way you feel about things, the way your emotions are. You might walk into some room and say, isn't this wonderful? So it's identifying with your color and your color identity and realization. We're going to start this morning just learning a little bit about colors. Some you may know and some you may not. And I'm sure that we have some people in our class that are very attuned with colors. A couple of you I know work with color. So if we can have the first color triangle. There you go. Thank you, Jan. We have the primary colors of red, yellow, and blue. From those, all other colors can be made. And I know that several of you at least work with art, and I'm sure others of you are interested in color because you're here. And we know that these are the primary colors, okay? Or the origin colors, as Julian called them. This is called the triangle of energy, and these are the primary colors. In the healing process, it's the color of origin. Red represents the physical, blue represents the emotion, and yellow represents the mental. These seem to be rather strong labels given to something, but you'll notice as we learn more about them, how they work. And now we'll look at the next slide of the secondary colors. They're called orange, violet, and green. And you can see how that interacts, right? Blue and yellow make green, right? Yellow and red make orange. Red and blue make violet. So combining the colors is something that we'll be talking about doing. Let's see. The color green is the overall healing color. When we think about chakras in the color, green is the color of the heart chakra. And it's the overall healing color because of its new beginnings. Think of spring. Everything's coming up. Everything's green and verdant. And if you don't know what else to do, use green. Recognize that if it's a physical injury, red is the vibratory rate that identifies with that the most. Blue works where emotional situations are concerned. And there's a color between the two, and that is violet. And violet, of course, is the color of spiritual comprehension and healing. You'd think that it would be on top of this triangle, but it isn't. And it isn't there for a very good reason, because in reality, it works with all color. The color red works in the physical world. You're ruled by the physical world when living in the physical world. Suppose, for instance, you just witnessed an accident and there were injuries. You might automatically say, let's use red. But you ask yourself, how much? If I'm not able to put my hand on that person, I don't know how much. So what you do is recognize that a physical injury in an accident situation will have emotional connotations with it. Of course, that's true. Think about it. If you're getting a car accident, you're shook up. Any kind of accident like that, the people involved in the accident will most likely be kind of shook up. And there's the emotional connotation. So you can use the violet ray or the violet color to prepare the site, and then you alternate between the red and the blue. In other words, you're sending a blend of the two that can comfortably merge with the body. And then going from that comfortable merger, you begin to give heavier doses of the physical healing and the emotional healing. So let's just go over that real quickly. If you come across a scene of an accident where there's been injury, you know you want red for physical and blue for emotional. You would combine the two, red and blue, make violet. So that's what you would do to flood the overall accident scene. You flood it with violet. And then you can start sending pulses of red and blue as the heavier doses. Okay? All right, so suppose that an emotional trauma has created a mental problem. You flood it with green, and then you use the alternate colors of yellow and blue. So yellow and blue make green. You combine them first if you see something that would be an emotional and a mental problem. You combine those two to make green, flood the area, and then you alternate sending blue and yellow. By the same token, if a physical blow has caused a mental problem, maybe somebody got hit in the head, you would flood it with, okay, let's look at this. A physical blow, physical is red, has caused a mental problem. Mental is yellow. So you would combine those two and flood with
Orange.
orange. Perfect. And then work with the alternates, yellow and red, alternating those. In other words, too much can be the wrong thing. So to prepare the site for the reception of the pure primary or origin colors, you use its intermediate color to prepare the site. That way it's getting a little of both. Does that make sense? I read over this before, but man, this time it is really sinking in for me. Takes more than once. Okay, this way it's getting a little of both. As the site is receptive to that, it opens up to the pure origin colors to use the energy of those. So we're preparing the site with a mixture, with a blend of the secondary colors, and then we go ahead with the pure origin colors. If you just keep the diagram in mind of the 6-pointed star, you'll have something to fall back on as you move along. So you can make one for yourself. I'll see if I can find something that's professionally done before the next class. So someone asked a question in this recording. It's a class and Julian's answering questions. So somebody said, suppose there's someone interested in healing, but they know very little about the colors that you just explained. What's the best technique to use to project onto the physical body? I love this part. This is Julian to me. There's one healing process that everybody knows and uses, all of us, all the time. It's called love. To care enough to want to help a person to be whole or a group of people to be whole. When you don't know what to do, care. That's really what it's all about. The techniques are within the caring aspect. Nothing's going to work, nothing's going to help if you're not coming from a place of caring, of love. That's what really sends it. It seems so simple, doesn't it? The only healing is love, and that is divine energy. But the techniques of the delivery that include color, healing, or acupuncture, or whatever way somebody is taking it in, always remember these are the techniques that we're learning. I love that part. I think that's my favorite part of the whole thing. You can say, I know different forms of math. That is so not me. I've learned geometry and trigonometry, and I've learned calculus, but those are just techniques of one principle. And that's what healing with color is. It's a technique of one principle. And that principle is love. Very simple. So, how do you know how to work with color? Let's say you've chosen to work with color. And I'm assuming that we all have chosen to work with color, otherwise we wouldn't be here. But what can we do to build intense color within yourself so that you can deliver it? Here's where we get going. You can think the color. Because remember, and Carol, this is to your point, mind is all. Mind rules matter. My cousin Camille always told me, thoughts are things. And it's true. So mentally, bring the image of the color into you. Let's kind of all do that. Think of your favorite color and mentally bring that color into you. Once you have the understanding of it and you're ready to identify with it in its higher form, now you bring the higher form of that color down through the crown of your head. You do that by moving one palm over the other slowly to build the energy. And if you remember, it's just one palm over the other. This way, could be this way. And you're building the energy, right? So what you're doing is you're priming the pump. Julian says, I'm sure you've all primed a pump somewhere. I don't know. I don't think I've ever primed a pump, but I'm in Detroit. So not a lot of pumps here. Um, You pour water into it. I've seen it on TV. You pour water into the pump and then you start pumping to get the thing going, right? Um, so what you're doing is you're priming the pump with energy. Your energy of blue, or whatever is your favorite color, which is priming the pump so divine blue power can come down through the crown, through the heart, and then out through your hands. So what you're doing is you're picturing that, your color coming down through the crown, in your heart, and out to your hands. You build in yourself, you prime your pump, and you bring that color down through the crown from above, and now you're ready to deliver it. You'll know when your pump is primed when you begin to feel that there's some substance between your hands. You'll actually feel like there is something there that you can squeeze, so to speak. Can feel spongy. If for some reason you're not feeling anything, I don't want you to worry. Everybody feels things in different ways. Everybody has different ways of experiencing things. Know the energy is there, but this is kind of a fun way. Can anybody feel anything? What are you
Mhm.
feeling?
I feel beautiful energy going through to everybody.
Oh, that's a nice one. I like that.
I have a master's in healing energy from London.
Wonderful.
And
Wow.
when I bring my I'm writing a book on it. Just
Uh-huh.
when you bring your fingers together, remember emotion, thought, mind and muscle, when you bring it together, the universal energy that you were born with comes to life.
I like that way of thinking of it.
Because when
The
you were
universal
created,
energy, because that's what Julian's doing. He's
yeah,
teaching us,
you have your mechanism and the energy and your intellect, but you have your potential, which you bring forward, and this gives you everything you need
wonderful.
at any age.
Any age, right? Little kids. I know, well, we'll go on to something else. So you'll know the pump is primed when you begin to feel that there's something between your hands, a substance, and you can actually feel that there's something you can squeeze. Almost for me, it's kind of like a spongy
Mhm.
kind of thing. So now we have not only chosen a color, have become very aware of the color within ourselves, we've primed our pump and brought the divine energy of that color down in through the crown, through the heart, and out through the hands, and now we're ready to deliver it. I don't even know what time it is. Oh, okay. Um, okay. So sometimes you deliver it by laying hands on the body. And you can also deliver it by holding your hands just off the body, just like we do for any other kind of healing. I can, well, I can touch someone here, or I can touch them here. And you know where you're going to be taking the energy, where that energy will be going. If you go off the body, it's just called touching without touching. Okay. And there was a question, is Julian in the class? Can you indicate where you're touching? He was touching someone on the head and the shoulder, but it could be, of course, any part of the body. It depends on where the healing is going. Now, you'll work with the delivery of that energy, the blue or whatever color is your best. You know that it's the color you want to deliver directly to the body. Okay. So let's take a little scenario here. Suppose someone isn't feeling well and you don't know why. There's just no indication of why. They just feel achy all over, but they don't know why. Now you take your favorite color. Let's pretend. We're going to build the color in yourself, hands over, just as you did before. Then think about the color, make it real. Bring the divine energy down through the crown of your head, through your heart, and out to your hands. And now use that divine energy merged with yours as a diagnostic tool. You can take your hand and not touching the body, but just above it, move it over the body. You're just moving all over. And as you move along the body, you can go on the back, the sides, what will happen is the color you're holding in your mind, the color you're holding in your hands, the color you've chosen, it will become muddy, it will become gray, or it will fade into nothing when you hit a trouble spot. You'll know that's where the energies have to be worked with, and that's where the problem is emanating from. So as you're working with this and you're working with yourself or someone else, you get that color, bring it down, as we've learned, and then go over the body as a diagnostic. Okay. And Julian says what we're looking for, and I want to do this, say this exactly like he said it, the divine energy, and now you're using that divine energy merged with yours as a diagnostic tool. Take your hand and not touching the body, move it over the body. And we are just moving all over the subject there, who was happened to be June. And as you move along the body, what will happen is the color you're holding in your mind, the color you have chosen, will turn in color. It'll become muddy, maybe gray, or fade to nothing when you hit a trouble spot. So sometimes when we're doing diagnostics, when we're doing it with, I know with Reiki or with our healing, we'll go over. And if you feel something like if I feel cold, I know that's a trouble spot. So with the working with color, if you see the color in your mind's eye kind of turning muddy or gray or disappearing, you know that's the trouble spot. And it may be surprising to yourself and others because somebody can say, I hurt here on my thigh. And you move over the body doing a diagnostic and you find that the trouble spot is up in the shoulder. And people a lot of times don't understand that. But when you relieve the spot in the shoulder, the pain stops in the thigh.
Right.
Yeah, you know that, right? Because pain is
Yep.
expressed at the nerve endings, and the nerve endings aren't always necessarily where the true problem is. They're sneaky. They run around all over your body.
Mhm.
But that can absolutely happen. So don't, just kind of go with the flow, go with the information that you're getting. Don't second guess yourself too much. If you're coming from a place of care and love, you're doing just fine. Of course, we can get better with progress, with practice. And you have to move over the whole body to really understand where the energy is most needed. The question was, will you actually feel with the color, the rate of the vibrations? Will you actually feel with the color, the rate of the vibrations? And Julian says, absolutely. You can actually feel your own vibratory rate as you increase the vibratory rate of the color. Okay. So we're going to do a little bit of an experiment here. It's an exercise, and we're going to kind of end our first day with this. Just simply close your eyes. Relax, sit back. I'm going to give you a color so that we can have a collective experience. I'm going to ask you to think of the color red. And as you think of the color red, I want you to just think of the color red. Don't try to give it any intensity of any kind, just think about it. And you let yourself think about that color, that red, and then you begin to feel that energy of red in its lightest of pink. Feel the color change in you and feel a beautiful pale pink. And now register for yourself. How is your body feeling in that beautiful pale pink?
Beautiful.
Hmm. Now we're going to move the energy upward until it becomes a sharper pink. It's a true pink now. And think about how does your body feel with that? Then the true pink begins to take on a very strong tint of red that creates a deep rose color. There's a deep rose color that your body is now experiencing. And think about how do you feel with that?
Balanced.
the different from the lightest pink. And finally, a deep ruby red with a deep, rich red tone. A ruby red fills you. And think about how you're feeling with that. So now just open your eyes and ask yourself to remember at those different levels. Could you feel a difference as the color changed?
Yeah.
Yeah? How did it feel?
Yes.
There's very definitely was a difference. And you can think about how you felt at the different levels as the color changed from the lightest pink to the deepest ruby red. There's definitely a difference, and the more intense the color, the stronger the vibration. Some of you may look back on those levels and say, I was more comfortable in that dusty rose color, or I was very comfortable in the pale pink, but not as comfortable in the others. That may be a signal that this is a good color for you to use in diagnosis. Whatever level or hue of the color that you're comfortable in may mean that it's the strata that you're supposed to be working in, and that it's a good color for you to start doing healing with. And I think today that's about the end of our session. We're going to go on next week. I'm glad we got in about the different hues of the color. And next week, we're going to start out talking about your healing, um, your tools of healing, which are, of course, hands, and share some more things. And this week, try to just immerse yourself in color. If you're feeling a little bad, if you have someone that you can practice on, see if you can do a color diagnostic, or do it on yourself. And just get familiar with working with color and in incorporating it into how we think about things in a different kind of way, maybe with healing, and maybe we can even heal the world. I would love to do that. I think we're going to try to do that by our last session. Think
Cindy.
about what color.
Cindy, just wanted to talk about, we should probably tell people, I believe you've covered sort of through page 6 in this class on the
Yes.
transcript.
Yes, I
Do you
am
want
halfway through page 6.
do you want people to do any preparation or reading before next class if they are able to do so?
You can if you want, but we're just kind of making this, learning it together. But if you would like to take a look at it and kind of familiarize yourself with it, I know I'm going to, and then we can get more out of the discussion together, just like if we're in a class with Julian.